Hello there. I hope you had your cup of joe. And I hope you also did some exercise to not only wake up your muscles, but your brain as well, because you're going to be getting some good information today from myself. My name is Liz O'Hara, and Parenting Special Needs Adapted PE teacher. And I'm also the owner of Gymsters, which is a motor development program that goes to different preschools, daycares, and special needs facilities. I'm here to talk about the developmental stages of motor development, which is from newborn to 3 years of age. Now, if you're a first-time mother or just tuning in to get some knowledge about this, I want to let you know first that it's impossible to see a child go through different stages. They develop at different rates. So just keep that in mind. They do develop at different rates. So if they're not, for example, rolling at 7 months, that's okay. Just encourage them and we'll go through there. And I'll go over that in a few minutes. So I want to get started first. Typically between the ages of newborn to 3 years old, or 3 months old, excuse me, you don't see much motor movement because the neuromuscular system is being developed. So I'm going to pretty much start at 3 months. At 3 months, a child should start raising its head from a prone position, which is on their stomach. And as they're raising that head, they might be turning it to the left and to the right. So 3 months, they should be at least doing that, and also propping themselves up on their arms and lifting their head while they're on their stomach. If they're not doing that, encourage them by getting some kind of auditory toy, like a bell ball or a bell toy that you can ring in front of them, and they will hear that and hopefully lift their head, and working on that skill. But at this time, I just want to let you know the importance of tummy time. Tummy time is an important feature for parents to be aware of, because when they don't get enough tummy time, then the muscles will not develop at a rate that they need to. I know it's important to hold them and to cuddle them, but there's a time and place for that. Putting them on their tummy will encourage the neuromuscular system to develop so that they can establish those milestones of movement. As they do develop those milestones of movement, I like you will see that they will cry at times when they are put on their belly, but don't pick them up right away, because they're not used to it. So you need them to stay there for a little while with the little toys around them and encourage them to be happy. And if they are crying a lot after a while, pick them up for a little while, but each day increase the duration of the time that you will spend on their tummy. Now I'd like to go over what happens at 7 months. Between 3 and 7 months, they are doing all kinds of fun things. Embrace that. At 7 months, they will be rolling from their stomach to their back and back to their stomach. Again, that's rolling. It's called log rolls. And they will also be able to sit with support, which means they will sit on the floor, but with their hands in front of them. They do that because their core musculature has not been developed fully yet. So again, I encourage them to keep sitting. Maybe you can put a pillow around them, so if you're not with them, they can fall back on their pillow, but always be with them to be safe. They are also able to bear weight on their legs while holding on to a chair. Again, they're not going to be sturdy, so be with them. And again, weight bearing is really a good exercise for them for muscle development. Another thing that they'll be doing at 7 months is creeping on their belly. Of course, they have their head control. They have their head up. And I forgot to mention, 3 months, while you're holding them, they will have that head control while you're holding them on their lap. So that's a good thing, because when you are putting them in bed, and you'll feel so more comfortable, because when you're putting them in bed and they're on their belly, they will be able to lift their head up and place it over to the side so they can breathe. So let's continue. If at 7 months you don't see them rolling from side to side or even sitting up, there are some things that you may be wanting to do. Again, if they're not rolling, maybe you like to clap on their right side so they can lift up and eventually get those muscles engaged and roll over. And also do it on the other side. And the easier way to roll is from their back to their stomach, from their stomach to their back, because when they're on their stomach, they do lift their head up and they look up and they're able to roll over a little more readily. We're going to continue from 8 to 10 months. What should your child do for between 8 and 10 months? Now, at that time, they should be able to sit with no support. Their core muscles of the trunk, the abdomen, their back muscles are already fully engaged so that they're strong enough to support themselves in a sitting position. They are, at that point, 8 to 10 months, able to crawl on their hands and knees, and they're able to crawl up the steps. Now, again, they're not able to go down yet, so be safe so that when you're with them, stay with them if they're going up those steps. They are able to stand, pulling themselves up from a sitting, crawling to a standing position. They're able to do that. And between 9 and 12 months, they are able to stand by themselves for a brief period of time. Then they'll plop down on their bottoms. And everybody would laugh about that. I want to stop right here because I want to discourage parents that really push their child to walking right away. Because we just went over 8 to 10 months, and there are a small percentage of people that do walk, or kids that walk at that age, but many don't. They need to work on their milestones, and especially crawling. A lot of those kids miss the stage of crawling, and crawling is such a great developmental stage for cognitive learning, for opposition movements, and for other more strategic type of movement skills that they need to learn later on. So, crawling is great to get rid of that awkwardness of when they start running and all that. So please encourage a lot of crawling during the 8 to 10 month period of their lives. At 1 year old, what should they do at 1 year old? Well, at that time, they will be able to sit in a position without assistance if you put them on a lying position. They're strong enough now to come up, push themselves up and sit, and they might go back into the hands and knees position, and then also they're able to climb up into a standing position. So at 1 year, they're able to do that. Again, some kids do walk at 1 year, but developmentally, on the average, a lot of them are able to stand and walk maybe a few steps at a time. And they will have a wide gait, which we call it like a beater gait. So it's like a wobbling. They will be wobbling back and forth, and they'll fall on their butt a few times. But that's a good thing. Encourage them to do that as long as they're in a safe environment. So make sure that they are able to walk in that perspective, and you're with them. They are able to, at 1 year old, they're able to also, when they're crawling, they might be able to crawl a little backwards. They turn around and crawl, maybe they do a little twist around as they were crawling. That's awesome exercise for them to do at that age. Now at 15 to 18 months, they're able to, of course, they are able to walk pretty well forward and even backwards. They developed they pretty much mastered that walking skill. If they're not able to walk right away and you feel like, well, they're 18 months now and they're not walking, I would encourage for you to take them to a pediatrician, because they will test for different areas of movement and they can probably give you an answer for that. Now, this is the time also, 15 to 18 months, they are able to walk up the steps while they're holding on to a rail. They're also attempting to run, not fast, but just like a while ago, bum, 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 little running, beginning stages of running. Now we're going up to the 2 year milestone mark. Running is a little more predominant, and they love to move around now. Be careful, because now they're on the move. And at 2, between 50 months and 2 years old, you really need to watch them because they're here, they're there, they're everywhere. Make your environment safe. If they're not running at that time, please help them. Help them to at least do a little walking, hold their hand, and encourage their jogging or their walking with you as you're kind of moving your feet a little faster too. Now at 2 years old, they're able to jump. Now it's not jumping up and down. They may be at the maybe a half of a foot high object, and they can jump down like a bottom of a step. They're able, but make sure you hold their hand. Some of them are able to jump down instead of jumping up and down. So jumping is the beginning stages at 2 years old. So they really don't jump until they're 3. Jumping up and down in place, jumping forward, the normal stages of development for that is 3 years old. Now at 3 as well, they are learning to gallop with their dominant foot in front. So whatever foot they're more dominant with, they will be able to place it forward. It might look like a side slide first, but then their hips may turn forward, their toes turn forward, and then they will be able to gallop that way. A great way to teach them how to gallop is to, again, hold their hand, and they will feel your rhythm as you gallop with them. And show them that their one foot is the leader and the other foot is following, like follow that leader, and they will eventually catch up to the rhythm of the gallop. At 3 years old, they are able to jump off probably a 2-foot high object, but that jumping is from jumping up and then landing down on their 2 feet. And they might fall, that's okay, but encourage them. And of course, you're gonna spot them in order not to get hurt. But if they jump off, they're jumping straight up, then coming back, landing on the 2 feet. They're able to jump in place several times and balancing on one foot. If they balance on one foot, it'll be just brief, probably 3 seconds, and that's good. They're not really able to balance like a flamingo can balance on its foot for the rest of their lives. But a child at 3 years old can balance on one foot for about 3 seconds. If they're not jumping by age 3, again, I want you to really encourage them to, here's a good exercise, walk on your toes. So when they're walking on their toes, they're developing the calf muscles. Maybe the calf muscles aren't fully developed, so they're not able to push off from their toes to develop to make sure that the calf muscles are strong enough. Also, again, you can hold their hands, but hold both hands and ask them to bend those knees. And as you're jumping up, they will guide them to jump up with you. You might lift them up slightly, but encourage them to push off with their feet. Do that several times a day, and each day, and then you'll see a difference. You will surely see a difference in all their movements as you see their milestones go from one stage to the other. But I encourage you, do not miss a milestone, because that, again, will help them to develop in a good sequential way, and it will help them academically throughout their lives, because the right and left hemispheres of the brain will work in conjunction with one another. And that's what you want them to do. They cross signals together so that the right side will work in conjunction with the left side of the body. I hope you gained a lot of good information today. And I hope you savor each moment with your child, because it's really important to be with them, because life goes so fast. I know, because I have 3 kids and 4 grandkids, and I can't believe how fast they grow. So I want to say goodbye for now, and thank you for listening.